The enormous amount of work that goes into making even a terrible film is undeniable. Any completed movie is the result of hundreds of cast and crew members pooling their talents to try and create something worthwhile. But truly great films are often only achieved through tremendous adversity, enough that those who worked on them, both in front of and behind the camera, had an absolutely miserable time. So with that in mind then, I'm Ellie with What Culture, here with 10 great movies everybody hated making. Number 10. Gravity. Alfonso Cuarón's 2013 sci-fi masterpiece Gravity is an incredible feat of effects-driven filmmaking. Cuarón originally planned to complete the project within a year, but due to the mind-boggling complexity of the visual effects, it ended up taking almost 5 years of his working life, while the shoot itself required absolute precision from its cast and crew. Case in point, Robert Downey Jr. was originally signed to star as astronaut Matt Kowalski, a role eventually played by George Clooney, but he bailed after it became clear that his improvisational acting style clashed with the strict requirements of such a carefully controlled project. The experience for stars Clooney and Sandra Bullock was uncomfortable to say the least. With most of the film's imagery being computer-generated, the actors spent up to 10 hours a day inside a 9x9-foot mechanical rig intended to simulate a space shuttle while being directed via earpiece. Bullock said of the harrowing experience, "It was just frustrating, painful and isolating. I wanted to kill producer David Heyman and Alfonso regularly. So all of your hate and your anger and your rage, you just give forth in your work and hope it translates on screen." Ultimately, Gravity went on to win 7 Oscars, including Best Director, and grossed over $700 million worldwide. Number 9. Apocalypse Now. Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now is arguably the greatest war movie ever made, and certainly the one whose production most closely resembles an actual war in its own right. Enough that a brilliant documentary, Hearts of Darkness, a filmmaker's apocalypse, was made about it. In Hearts of Darkness, Coppola famously said of the shoot, "We were in the jungle, there were too many of us, we had access to too much money, too much equipment, and little by little we went insane." He's not exaggerating. Shot in the Philippines for over a year while going massively over budget, Apocalypse Now wore its cast and crew down over the course of production, with Coppola becoming so despondent by everything that went wrong that he had a nervous breakdown, lost a terrifying amount of weight, and considered suicide. In terms of the cast, Martin Sheen had a near-fatal heart attack mid-shoot, which took him out of commission for 6 weeks. Marlon Brando showed up to set overweight and without having learned his lines, while clearly having little desire to be there, and Dennis Hopper found Brando irritating enough that he decided to intentionally anger him wherever possible. Many other cast and crew members were drunk or high for much of the shoot, and given the utterly ramshackle nature of the production, can you really blame them? Number 8. Wayne's World. Wayne's World is such an absurdly entertaining and hilarious film that you probably assumed it was also a total blast for the cast and crew to make, right? Oh, how wrong we all are. Several of the key players ended up clashing throughout shooting, namely star Mike Myers and director Penelope Spheeris, with Spheeris calling Myers emotionally needy and claiming that he got more difficult as the shoot went along. Spheeris was torn between the creative needs of Myers, co-star Dana Carvey, and producer Lorne Michaels, allegedly resulting in her shooting scenes 3 different ways on numerous occasions in order to keep them all happy. Spheeris and Myers also butted heads over the final cut of the film, while Myers battled producers who had their own ideas for what Wayne's World should be. And yet there's not even a hint of that strained production in the end result, which remains one of the most beloved studio comedies of the last 30 years. Number 7. Total Recall. Few directors relish a chaotic production quite like the legendary Paul Verhoeven, who has thrived on countless disordered shoots, including 1990s Arnold Schwarzenegger starring sci-fi classic Total Recall. Due to Verhoeven's decision to shoot the film mostly in sequence while demanding as much as 20 takes per scene, the budget ballooned from an initial $30 million to a rumoured $80 million by the time it was in the can. Yet the strife came largely through the Mexico City shooting location, with almost the entire cast and crew falling ill due to consuming contaminated food and water. The only exceptions were Arnold Schwarzenegger, who, having previously become sick from eating local cuisine while shooting Predator, had his food shipped in from the US, and producer Ronald Shusett, who gave himself vitamin B12 shots every day. The movie's dusty Mars sets also caused temporary respiratory problems for almost the entire cast and crew. Elsewhere, Schwarzenegger suffered numerous cuts and broken fingers while performing stunts, and Michael Ironside cracked his sternum and separated 2 ribs, resulting in him having to complete the shoot while still recuperating from his injury. Number 6. The Lighthouse. Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse was one of 2019's most acclaimed movies, receiving enormous praise for Eggers' direction and the phenomenal, arguably career-best performances from both Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. And yet, the treacherous location shoot was majorly trying for most everyone involved. For starters, the harsh, soggy weather at Cape Fortune, the Canadian fishing village where most of the film was shot, caused camera equipment to frequently malfunction and lenses to uncontrollably fog up, such that it took 25 takes to capture a clear shot of Pattinson walking into the ocean for one scene. As for Dafoe and Pattinson, they've both spoken extensively about the physically and psychologically trying nature of the shoot, which caused them to barely talk outside of filming scenes. Given the movie's material, though, this anguish really only ended up enhancing its manic, unsettling energy, and the end result was surely worth the 35 days of hell shooting it. Number 5. Blade Runner. Blade Runner is a cinematic sci-fi monolith beyond compare, and its wonderfully gloomy mood might be informed in part by the constant behind-the-scenes discord during shooting. For starters, star Harrison Ford didn't work well with either co-star Sean Young or director Ridley Scott. Ford felt that Young's lack of experience was slowing production, and he also argued intensely with Scott over whether or not his character Deckard was a replicant. Scott also didn't endear himself much to the film's cast or crew. He regularly demanded upwards of a dozen takes for seemingly insignificant camera setups, enough that Warner Brothers almost intervened and had him replaced. Scott also pissed off the production's American crew members after claiming in an interview that British film crews worked harder, prompting American makeup supervisor Marvin G. Westmore to create t-shirts mocking Scott's claim. Then there's late legendary cinematographer Jordan Cronenweth, who had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease the year before shooting started, and his condition debilitated enough that he was working from a wheelchair by shoot's end. And on top of all this, everyone's moods were worsened by the bulk of the film being shot at night, while the continual dousing of fake rain made everyone soggy and tired. Number 4. Titanic. James Cameron has proven repeatedly over the years that he thrives when getting wildly in over his head. And this has never been truer than during the production of his Best Picture-winning smash hit Titanic. The issues began early when Cameron personally insisted upon taking a submersible down to the actual Titanic's resting place to film footage, with one of his dives resulting in a nearly catastrophic collision between the vessel and the Titanic. As for principal photography itself, it's no secret that Cameron was a taskmaster, frequently chewing out the cast and crew during the high-pressure shoot. Kate Winslet suffered numerous injuries while shooting the water scenes and initially vowed to never work with Cameron again, though ultimately decided to re-team with him for the Avatar: The Way of Water. Other cast members were kept in cold water for egregious amounts of time per shooting day, causing widespread illness. Number 3. The Exorcist. It's been well documented that director William Friedkin treated his cast with a cavalier regard, intentionally creating a deeply uncomfortable atmosphere in order to tease out legitimately terrified performances. In one instance, he fired a gun near actor Jason Miller to startle him and had the crew yank Ellen Burstyn's harness so hard during a stunt that she received a permanent back injury when she collided with a wall. A take that was kept in the film, no less. Friedkin also had air conditioning units brought into the McNeil house set to shoot the film's climax, which for young Linda Blair, who was wearing a threadbare nightgown, was extremely uncomfortable and gave her a lifelong aversion to the cold. Despite Friedkin's antagonistic nature on set, he didn't exactly have a picnic making the film either. Warner Brothers frequently protested his casting choices, and in part because a fire destroyed much of the set, production took twice as long and cost twice as much as originally planned. Number 1. The Love Witch. Anna Buller's 2016 comedy horror film The Love Witch received near-universal acclaim for its stylistically on-point parody of 60s horror, and also a terrific performance from lead actress Samantha Robinson. However, more than a year after its release, director Biller herself tweeted that most of the crew hated what we were shooting and did not even see the movie after it was done. She added that numerous pivotal crew members were swapped out during shooting and alleged that some even attempted to sabotage the production. Biller blamed the set's tempestuous atmosphere on both crew members affronted at working for a female director and a line producer who set up a bad vibe and then disappeared, whatever that means. For his part, cinematographer M. David Mullen offered no comment when asked to address the controversy. And yet the end result feels like such an holistic achievement on Biller's vision that you'd never guess there was major behind-the-scenes tension.